Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we on that motherfucker. Kenny Beecham.
Just like that, for the first time post LeBron James, the Cavs have done it. The Cavs have made it to the conference finals. The lights being too bright, it's over. Because the 2 Game 7s, Jared Allen has been a dog. And yes, the game was not the greatest of games. I know that we always go into Game 7s hoping it's going to be down to the wire, mano a mano, superstar versus superstar. Last possession of the game is what's going to terminate. Nah, the Cavs put BTA. They put BTA, y'all. And yes, let me address the elephant in the room. Yes, I am looking dapper. My boy D. Millie did get married. And I promise you, I'm not breaking any codes of friendship by being here recording this recap. They all knew what my schedule looked like. And actually, the venue was like 5 minutes away from the studio. So I told them I'm going to dip off about 25 minutes. I got to film this and something else. And we're going to be right back. We're going to hit the Cupid Shuffle. You know what I'm saying? Before I left, it was...
this nigga left the wedding to record this.
I'm going to tell the DJ, run that back because Kenny Beecham is back in attendance. So shout out to my boy. Love is great. That's not for this show, though. You want to hear me talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So before this...
That's not the game I want to see. This is the game I want to see. Before he even tells me the stats and tells me everything, I want to see the stats myself. Jared Allen, 23 points in 25 minutes. Very good game. 7 boards, assists, 2 turnovers, steal, block, +9. Evan Mobley, 21 points, 7 to 10, 6 for 11, 12 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, +31. Okay. James Harden put up another playoff stinker. We can't keep letting this nigga slide. 0 for 6. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, turnover. +31. All right. Donovan Mitchell, 26, 10 to 22, 6 and 8, steal and a block, +17. Okay. Max Strus did his thing. Dean Wade didn't miss, even though he got boo-boo time. Thomas Bryant missed everything. Dennis Schroeder. Okay. I like that. I can live with that. Sam Merrill, 23 points coming off the bench? Who are you? I don't even know who that is. Okay, Detroit. Tobias hit. God damn, what the fuck? Oh. A stinky? A stinker? You know what? Cade, 13? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, speak to me.
Started, I picked Cleveland Cavaliers in 7.
Speak
and
to
the
me.
reason I picked that is because this is one of those teams that no matter how bad it can look, because it did look pretty bad and a lot of times in this series versus the Toronto Raptors, there's just something about the talent level on the team that made me feel more comfortable with them over the 1-seeded Detroit Pistons team. And this Game 7 was an exact example of the type of ceiling the Cavs can play with on the offensive side of the ball. Last game, in game number 6, I was very, very critical of this team because they had an opportunity to close out a series against a team that had what they showed us in the last round. They are a competitive-ass team. They can be down 3-1 and win. And you had a home game against this team, back against the wall, and you just didn't come out to play with any ferocity. Star players to come out to play. Nobody came out to play. So I gave them everything. I'm like, bro, this is not it. But also in that video, if you remember, I said, but they do still have another opportunity to make things happen. And they made things happen. I was very critical of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is one of my favorite players in the league. And I think that y'all could get that vibe too, because I am traditionally pretty, I don't know, heavy-handed when it comes to talking about some of my favorite players when they disappoint, because I got the utmost amount of respect for these guys and expectations for these guys. And in Game 6, I thought that Donovan Mitchell played a really horrible game. And I thought that for the majority of the postseason, or in this series, he had a really tough time. He had the one half where he scored 39 points. He had one more game. I think he ended up with 35. But in the games in the interim, sitting in the corner, the processing wasn't great, so on and so forth. This Game 7 was exactly the type of Donovan Mitchell performance you need. This is the type of game that could potentially shut up all the doubters about him being the best player on the team. I thought from the very early on, the very first possession of the game, his processing looked a lot better. One of the things that bothered me, that grinded my gears in Game 6, that a lot of times when it was his turn to facilitate and his turn to get things going, it boiled down to, I'm going out to try to get this mismatch, and if I can't get it, let's see what happens. And I thought he did a really good job getting downhill early in this one. One of my favorite possessions was that two of my favorite possessions in this game were at the expense of my boy, Sar Thompson, so I apologize for that. But again, throughout the last game, the entire time when he had a star on him, it was like, I'm not really interested in trying to create. In this one, he gets past him, and he throws one up to Evan Mobley, who we get to in a little bit. My next favorite possession is an Evan Mobley possession where they had it where Sar Thompson was guarding him. And one thing that I just admire is when a big fella say, this dude, no matter if he is a number 3 in DPOY, so on and so forth, if he's smaller than me, I'm going to put my shoulder down. I'm going to put his ass in the basket. And you got that a few different times. I think that this team is elevated when you get these big fellas going early. Jared Allen, another great Game 7, and a lot of that is, I think Donovan Mitchell started off this game with 3 assists, and I think 2 of those went to Jared Allen, and 1 of those went to Evan Mobley, and that's what we want to see. We talked about how the entirety of the postseason, Donovan Mitchell's assists were down, and his assist to turnover ratio was god-awful for a lead guard. 8 assists, and I'm looking at it, 0 turnovers in this one. That's great, and a lot of that is getting the big fellas going. Sam Morrell checks into the game, and he likes to fire under this team. 5 made threes in the Game 7 is something that a city like Cleveland will not forget. You know, they have been devoid of great performances post LeBron James. And to have Mr. Relevant Sam Morrell come out there and hit those 5 threes and also get to the foul line is great. And the defense showed. This team is like a Jekyll and Hyde, man. One game, the defense is there, but the offense is not. One game, the offense is there, but the defense is not. And just so happened that in the Game 7, they got both. I was interested to see that Max Strus was going to be starting I think this might have been the first time this entire series where Max Strus ended up starting, because it had been Dean Wade, and Dean Wade had struggled with his shot for the majority of this series. And they said, hey, man, though Max Strus did not have a great stat line of, only 9 points or 1 of 5 from 3, his impact goes deeper than just shooting. And that's great for them. The hustle plays, the steals, the extra possessions, dive on the floor. You felt all of that. And not just this game, but a lot of the games leading up to this one. I do want to revert back to Donovan Mitchell, though, because this was just, I don't know. Again, as a fan of his, this is one of my favorite postseason performances from him. What did he hit, the 40-foot shot at the end one of these quarters? That's how you should have known that it was on. And they never really allowed the Detroit Pistons to go on a run. Like some of the other games that they won in this series was like, we are the Cavs, we're doing this. But, here come the Detroit Pistons on their 12-2 run to bring it within 4. They didn't let that happen at all. We're at the wedding.
Very true.
This is what happened when basketball podcasters get married during season. We do the reception, like we do the ceremony, the reception goes on, everybody eat, and then snap, the game about to tip off. And there was no TV, so we were all hugged around one singular cell phone to watch it. And it was something I'll never forget. I feel like that's something I'll never forget. Even though this game might end up being insignificant because the Cavs might lose in the next round or whatever, I will always remember that at Derek's wedding, not only did we have a great time, but we were all just like, oh, man, they doing this or this. And eventually, 90% of the people that was trying to watch the game walked away because it was a 25-point game very early. It's like, all right, let's go dance. Let's go get some shots. Let's go do this. And little old me was like, yeah, I'll meet y'all there. I got some videos to shoot. Super short rotation from the Cleveland Cavaliers today, at least until the last couple minutes of the game. They really ran 7 to 8 players, which I think is really important. And Jared Allen, again, you get him going very early on. I think that his overall defensive impact goes a long way. But going back to Evan Mobley, this is one of those games you just hope for. I know that it's always going to be a meme about him being Mr. 18-8 is what they call him. But 18-8 can look and feel different, if that makes sense, right? There are some games where 18-8 is like, oh, he did that, but some games 18-8 is crazy. Now this game he got more than that, right? The 21-12, but in that first half, I'm watching Evan Mobley look like, the player that a lot of us know he can be on a nightly basis. He just needs to keep that aggression going. So this is a huge, huge win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and just like that, they got to turn over and go against the New York Knicks. And I think I would have to go back and look through their games they played in the regular season. I think right now I'm leaning towards the New York Knicks pretty heavily, I would say. But I do want to do a little bit more research before I give a Knicks in 6 or Knicks in 7. But what the Cavs just showed us is that they do have a level of getting through adversity, right? To blow that game 6 and to come out in game 7 in a dangerous place. And I'm saying dangerous because the fans over there in Detroit are amazing. And to be able to, from the very early on, shut them up, they show you that they can win any series. When Jared Allen did say the lights are too bright, it was in Madison Square Garden. But that also was 4 years ago, so I'm not acting like he is and they are the same team then. And I'm just going to say shout out to James Harden. Wasn't his prettiest games. Actually, it was very far away from his prettiest game, but they won. And that's where we'll leave it at. They won the game. I'm happy for Donovan Mitchell. On the flip side of things, what did we learn about the Detroit Pistons throughout this series? We learned that they have a lot of fight. We learned that they have a lot of dogs. We also learned that Cade Cunningham needs a secondary offensive player alongside him. I saw a tweet the other day that said something along the lines of Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards are the only stars in the NBA that can say that they don't have help. Somebody quote tweeted that and basically said defense is help. And I 100% agree. I think defense is help. But also, Cade Cunningham needs offensive help as well. There's times throughout the series where he was super phenomenal, 39 points, 45 points in the last series as the alpha offensive player in this one. But then you have performances where you don't get that. And luckily in Game 6, Cade Cunningham was not the greatest version of himself, but he did have, Marcus Sasser step it up. Danish Jenkins was great in Game 6. But you always wonder, could they replicate that in the Game 7? Would it have to be all Cade Cunningham? And unfortunately, none of those guys were really amazing today, right? Cade was 0 for 7 from 3. Danish Jenkins got downhill looking him out, which is important. But for the most part, I can't look at him as having a phenomenal game. Tobias Harris reverted back to, that Tobias Harris that had 0 points in a closeout game. This time, he did not have 0, but he only had 5 free throws and no made field goals. Asar Thompson, up and down series. Offensively, mostly down. But I think that the next step for Asar Thompson, as we're here, he did hit a 3 in this one, which is I think it was 2 seconds on the shot clock. He actually called for it in that corner, and I was happy that he called for it. He took a 3, he hit it. I want to continue to see Asar Thompson get better in his processing, in a sense that I do think because of how great he is defensively and how he can blow up defensive plays, you have to be extremely smart in order to predict some of the stuff he does defensively. I want to see a lot of the intelligence boil over to the offensive side, and I would love for the team around him to maybe evolve a little bit to add some extra shooting or some extra creation, because I do believe that it can allow Asar Thompson to be extra impactful offensively without being a scoring guy, as a screener, as a dribble handoff guy, I don't want to use Draymond Green light because I feel like a lot of players that aren't great scorers and can pass a little bit, we always try to say Draymond Green light, but I do think there could be something there throughout the course of his career, because you obviously know that he's thinking the game, but I think there's another level that he can go there as the team gets better around him. Jalen Duren had an amazing Game 6 to give it all back in Game 7, where everybody was taking his lunch today. This is going to be a very interesting offseason for that reason alone. He's eligible for so much amount of money because he's probably going to make All-NBA today in a couple days when we announce it, and he could be up to $200 million. And I just wonder what that number looks like from the Detroit Pistons. I can understand one way or another. You can say, hey, he is 22, 23 years old, and it's his second postseason, and it wasn't great, but we believe next season, with all this extra experience, or the year after that he'll be playing like he was in the regular season, the postseason. But I also can see the other side that say, hey, how much money can you pay a player that mostly is a third to maybe fourth option offensively when it matters the most, and the defense is good, but it ain't like Chet Holmgren good. It ain't Wembanyama good or Rudy Gobert good. So is that a $200 million player? And if you are giving him $200 million, and you already gave Kate Cunningham his extension, what does that leave you with to build the next part? There's some interesting names potentially on the market for them if they wanted to go get some secondary creation. Because I think that not only do they need to increase that three-point shooting, but they also just need somebody that can create. That was one of the reasons that even though Duncan Robinson was back, Danius Jenkins stayed in that starting unit because he was one of the guys, like I mentioned earlier, that can get downhill and put other teams in rotation. It really is Cade Cunningham and Jenkins that can do that. Karis LeVert can kind of do that at times, but I think Karis' season has been so much down more than up that just having a CJ McCollum who will hit free agency this offseason or someone along those lines can be interesting. I could also see them trying to buy in on straight up shooting, you know. I guess at the draft combine, a lot of people in the know were mentioning Trey Murphy as a name that could be got. And I'm not saying that the Pistons are calling for them, but like a guy like that can add some shooting on all levels of the court could be pretty interesting. But I can't look at this season as a failure whatsoever. Did they make it to the conference finals as the 1 seed, the dominant regular season team? No. But this team is still one of the youngest in the league, and they just show that they have a lot of heart and a core that you can trust for the most part, outside of maybe Durham. Where Cade Cunningham, anybody that was doubters of Cade, I mean, they're probably doubting even more after Game 6 and Game 7. But he gave us so many moments in that postseason that I think you kind of a jackass to doubt the man. To be the leader of a 60-win team and to have 45 points with your back against the wall in a series, 39 in another game. I don't know. I don't need to defend Cade Cunningham around here. Y'all know how talented he could be. But every year of his career, he's got better throughout his career so far. So who's to say he can't even be better next year than he is this year? So very far away from a loss of a season, very far away from a L. I'm interested to see what happens with like a Ron Holland. Not saying that they would trade him, but there's so much redundancy between him and Asar Thompson that you saw that very early in the postseason. Let me see how many minutes they played together because very, very early in the postseason, you saw JB just say something that we kind of knew in the regular season. These brothers cannot play together. Now, in the regular season, it matters a lot less, and you can't put together these weird, funky lineups that teams aren't just overtaxing and here or there. In the regular season, they played a total of 200 minutes together. They were plus 15.6 in the regular season, mostly because that defensive rating was a 94. And in the postseason, they literally did not play a full minute together. They have less than 1 minute played together in the postseason. That's so interesting to have 200 minutes in the regular season for coach to be like, nah, we know this is not going to work. So congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cannot wait to see what they can do against the New York Knicks. I think both of those teams, New York and Cleveland, if we're going to do like a 30-second preview, can be offensive juggernauts. I think the Knicks have been offensive juggernauts all postseason long, while the Cavs dip into that well every once in a while. But the best version of both of these teams offensively is ridiculous. The Knicks' defense has been very amazing in the postseason. I wonder how much of that may shift going against a team with double ball handlers over there. OG Anunoby is clear to play game 1, which is going to be interesting because he adds so many more layers for the Knicks offense and defense, and they were just able to beat another team by 50 with him not playing. So, again, I'm leaning heavily towards the New York Knicks. First take, Knicks in 6, but I want to go back and rewatch those games. Let me know what you think. I don't know, man. Shout out to my boy D. Millie, man. That boy is merry. Love is great.
Ladies and gentlemen,